Assalamualaikum and greetings to Dr. Ismath Ramzi and also to my fellow classmates. My name is Muhammad Afidaniel bin Awaluddin with my partner Muhammad Ibrahim bin Serembut, and we are going to present on chapter 6, which is the clashing of civilizations, international cultures. So these are the contents of chapter 6. We will go through the introduction first, followed by the Crusades and Jihaads, revolutions and revivals, culture contact, globetrotters and jet status, and last but not least, the conclusion of the chapter. So for the first part, I will be presenting the introduction, Crusades and Jihads, and also revolutions and revivals. And next, my partner Ibrahim will present the culture contact, globetrotters, and also the jet setters, followed by the conclusion of this chapter. Okay, so first, the introduction of this chapter. So mainly this chapter discuss that the clashing of civilization is mainly due to two concrete reasons. First is the universal religions manages to missionize and proselytize a land successfully. So they are able to overwhelm or at least syncretize the local or also native religious expressions. Secondly, political ideologies that sought to unify diverse collectivities of people in the pursuit of same or common goals. So, for example, ideologies like nationalism, liberalism, democratic socialism, and others. So, Samuel P. Huntington, he is the one that argues that the clashes between civilizations are under the conditions of globalizations. This is likely due to the conflicts between classes or conflict between Western political ideologies such as the socialism, and also liberalism. So globalization tends to start spreading easily under conditions of low technological developments and low geographical mobility areas for the clashes of civilizations. So the clashes usually occurred at a civilization at the outer skirts rather than at the center of an area. So first, let's go through Crusades and Jihad. So for this subtopic, it focuses itself particularly in the area of religion. So for the Crusades, it represents the Christians, and for the Jihad, it represents Islam. So both religions in particular have had a globalizing sense of mission. So they sought to convert those defined as heathen or infidel by whatever constraints was possible. So one strategy was to align themselves with expansive empires that had global ambitions and then export their belief system gradually from within the empire. So the book states that among the universalizing religions, the derivative of Abrahamic faith of Christianity and also Islam have proved the most effective globalizers because of their mission of proselytization and conversion being successful than others. So let's talk about jihad first. So the objective of Islam is the establishment of a community of the faithful, which is the Ummah, which they rule hierarchically. So they carry on practices which are specified by the Quran and are followed to the letter, which engages in a holy struggle, as in jihad, against unbelievers. So one of the famous empire to be correlated with jihad are the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire placed nations they conquered under a unified cultural system, which causes globalizations at the native level. So when the Ottoman Empire began to expand their territory, they actually brought Islam in contact with Christianity. They clashed with Christianity. For example, we can see at the capture of the Constantinople by Alexander the Great, and also at the conquest in Vienna. So, after they conquered, they forced some measures of relativizations on each faith and its associated culture. Next, let's talk about the Crusades. So, Based on the events of the capture of Constantinople and also the conquest at Vienna by the Ottoman Empire, Christianity created crusades in order to control back its holy land. However, this attempt failed. So the incapacity to missionize of the Crusades actually contributed to the Protestant Reformation and thereby began the Western globalization process. So, so this will focus on the Protestant Reformation. It is actually critical in Western globalizations in two important respects. First, there had been a long series of conflicts between kings and also the popes. So the Reformation resolved this dispute by subordinating the church to the state, as in England, or by secularizing the state, as in the USA and Republican France. The state could now rely on political legitimations of nationalism or liberalism rather than religious legitimations. And next is the Protestantism. So medieval Christianity maintained particularism, such as people were regarded as closer to God than others insofar as relationship to God had to be mediated through the priest. So they raised universalism to a new level. It is therefore asserted that all were equal in relation to God and that salvation did not depend on one inclusions within a religiously ordered political community. Therefore, and for the next thousand of years, Christianity ceased to be a purely religious movement and more closely approximated to a political ideology. So that's it for the Crusades and Jihads, which is stated in the book. Next are the revolutions and also revivals. So for this subtopic, the book actually focuses itself on nationalism. So a nation state actually unleashed the forces of nationalism into the world by harnessing ethnicity to a state project. Nationalist movements was to invent a similarity between four reference points. First, the people, by using a common identity. Second, the state, by using a common political system. Then we move to the nations, which form a common community. And last but not least, government as an administration. So, as Hall stated that political and intellectual elites that led the nationalist challenge engaged in a series of ideological practices that sought to represent the nation as a social, spatial, historical fact that is real, continuous, and meaningful. So, so these movements include the activities below. So they told stories or histories of the nation, indicating the commonalities and experience of triumphs and struggle to the native people which they are spreading their ideology. Next is they make assertions about a national character, about British fair play or Japanese honorability, or also Chinese industries and respect to authority, and many other points. Next, they invent new patterns of ritual, pageantry, or symbolism that gives collective expression to the nation. This includes the flags, heroes, systems of national honors, special holidays, national ceremonies, and so on. The fourth, they establish foundations. The fourth, they establish foundational myths and legends that locate the nation outside history and give it a quasi-sacred character as well as a sense of originality or non-derivativeness. And lastly, they promote ideas of common breeding or even racial purity. For example, like Malaysia, they have Malay Bumiputra, which are the natives of this land. So, the great universalizing religions have generally been threatened by nationalism. So, as in the case of religion, nationalism and other political ideologies can set up civilization boundaries and exclusivities that can result in the conflict between the religion side, and also the ideology side. So the probability of conflict is increased to the extent that nationalism intersects with other ideologies. So to conclude these two subtopics, so for the Crusades and Jihad, it focuses barely on religion, which the clash happens through the expansion of territories and causes globalization changes of a movement towards a specified goal. And for the revolutions and revivals, they focus on nationalism or ideologies to be generalized. So they clash by using ethnicity in a certain empire, and which creates boundaries and exclusivities through existing ideologies, which creates changes in the existing ideologies. So that's all from me. Um, we will move on to the next presenter, which is Mama Ibrahim.